Ken Show. I wanted to let you all know how I did my awakening, my start, my reconditioning, my whole theory of where I am at now. I am an older man now, but I didn't start out as an old man, much like you. I started out as a young person and naive when I came to voting and when it came to learning about politics. My whole beginning of learning about politics was about learning from both my parents, my mother and my stepfather. My real father passed away when I was just young. I was only 4 years old, so I really never got a politicianal marking from him. But my mother was a really soft-hearted Democrat at the time. My stepfather was a Republican. So I had a little bit of flavor of both ways. Then for a while my stepfather decided he wanted to run through the Democratic Party only as a test, but he never did very well. When Richard Nixon got exonerated from the White House, I shouldn't say exonerated, I said kicked the hell out from the White House, he made all of us kids sit down and watch, as he put it, the biggest thief get kicked out of the White House. And that's exactly what happened. Richard Nixon, who I thought was a very, very intelligent man and probably one of the best presidents we ever had at the time, was, kicked out. And I was blown away when it happened. But, I thought he was going to be another Kennedy on the way, but he ended up having Watergate happen, and guess what? He was removed from politics itself and became a blemish. Well, he opened up free trade with China, and the whole world thought it was a fantastic thing. If you look back from today, can you honestly say what he did by opening up free trade with China is a good thing? I mean, China practically owns the United States right now. Can you really say what he did was good? I sometimes question it. Free trade, free market throughout the world is a good thing. But when you have a certain country that manipulates their cash, their flow, their money, when you have a country like that, do you honestly say, can you tell me, honestly, in your heart, is that a country that you really want to do business with? One that manipulates their money so you have to trade with them. It makes economic sense. This is the only reason why I agree with Donald Trump on something like that. But anyway, I'm getting past what I want to talk about. But anyway, where I got my start of logical thinking is about 25 years ago, when I started talking about, I started working a swing shift at my job. It was about 25, almost 30 years ago. I started listening to talk radio because I was working swing shift and I was working alone. I was on the road mechanic, working out in the back of a service truck. It was a badass service truck. It was like a shop on wheels. And I was working at customers' yards. When the trucks came in, I was working on them. And I started listening to talk radio. First, I listened to this KGO out in San Francisco. They were broadcasting. I mean, it was an amazing station. They would broadcast everywhere through the Bay Area. You could not get their signal. It was that powerful. And I would listen to people like Bernie Ward and so forth. They had a whole lineup of people. And, at first, a lot of them were Democrats, and I couldn't get any other filtered people through there. So I started scanning, and I would call up periodically and have a difference of opinion with them, but, they would always fish for my, acceptance. So naturally, I gave in and caved, stuff like that. But I was young. I was very impressionable at that time. So as I grew, I got to know that, these guys were wrong at times. And then this wonderfully fabulous person came along, this guy that I could not stop listening to. His name was Michael Savage. I call him my savior because this guy is actually, his name is Michael Weiner, okay? but his professional name is Michael Savage. He had a show called The Savage Nation, and he was booted out of there, out of San Francisco. He still lives there, believe it or not, but he was booted out of the airways because people couldn't take his rhetoric. But it really wasn't rhetoric. What it was logic. He was calling out people for what they really were. And they couldn't take it. They couldn't stand it. They couldn't take truth. And they voted against him like you could not believe. And they booted his butt. He's an American independent. He is not a Republican. He is not a Democrat. That's exactly what I am. And he showed me a lot of different ways to think. He pointed me in directions of what these people were doing in Washington, the lies that they were doing. He was talking direction of what Limbaugh wasn't doing, what Hannity wasn't doing, and I was just amazed of what the stuff that he was pointing out that I myself didn't know, but it came to be true. And he was one of the first ones that actually talked the truth and blown away by it. I wasn't very impressed with Limbaugh at the beginning. Okay, at the beginning I thought Limbaugh was just a big blowhard doing the deed of the Republican Party. And in the beginning he really was. If you say he wasn't, well, you know, you're particular to the Republican Party, and he really was. So nowadays it's different. He's learned that the establishment is a bunch of lying thieves, and they double-crossed him in several different ways. So now he's learned. And I do listen to Rush, okay? I listen to a lot of different people. There's only 2 people that are on my list these days, actually 3, that I listen to religiously. And one of them is Michael Savage. I'm glad he's doing podcasts. I'm glad he's back on the air and that he's doing podcasts. You can find Michael Savage podcast at his website at michaelsavage.com or thesavagenation.com. He is an author of many books, and I wish you would get them because he's a very good author, and he makes a lot of sense. There are some things that are, you know, you've got to not pay attention to because sometimes he goes on like most people do when they get caught up in the world. But he makes sense of things. It really is amazing. Amazing man. But even more amazing than him, there's a man out there that I just can't talk enough about. A man that opened my eyes to many things. One being the Constitution of the United States. If this man was able to put his Constitution Thursday in every one of our school systems, our kids would be so much smarter when it came to our Constitution that they would, when they grew up to be able to vote, there would be so many changes. His name is Dave Bowman. Dave Bowman has got one of the most fantastic shows on the air today. I am not joking. You have to listen to it. He is at Podcast 99 Network. His name is Plausibly Live. The show is Plausibly Live, and his show for Constitution Thursday is Constitution Thursday. You have to listen to it. I am not joking. I've listened to it from the beginning when he first started it, and he has made so much sense in this. I took history. I was a history major in school. And there was stuff in here that I never even knew. And it is so interesting. And the way Dave explains it, it doesn't put you to sleep. He actually makes me feel like I am back in the 1700s and in the 1600s. Like I am there riding my horse to a delegation. I mean, it is really that good. You have to listen to it. So go to Podcast 99 Network and download his podcast of Constitution Thursdays. Just start from the beginning and you'll be hooked. And I wish teachers in school from first grade on do this because your kids will be fascinated. They will be fascinated. I mean, I can't speak enough about it. I mean, I've never met the man. I've never met him, but I tell you what, if I was to shake his hand, I would actually give him a hug too, because this is somebody that has not only opened my eyes to what our Constitution really is, but he's actually made me think clearly of what our country should be doing when it comes to our political races, our political constitution, what we should and what we shouldn't be doing. And he weighs the facts all the time. He always gives me something to think about. And that's good. That's really good. Whether it be on the left or the right side. He's an independent as well. He's really a good thinker. And then the last person, I'm not getting past Dave Bowman because he's really, I could talk about Dave Bowman for hours, but I've got to get past him. But anyway, the last person that I'd like to talk about, besides Rush Limbaugh, because you do have to listen to Rush Limbaugh. I mean, he has a hard time hearing these days, but he's actually done a lot better in the last couple of years. He actually got me listening now. He's not so conceited anymore and listening to the political parties as bad. But is Dan Bongino. The Dan Bongino show is actually a very good show. It's on SoundCloud, which is a podcast, and he's got some stuff in there worth listening to. He's an ex-Secret Service agent. He's got some really interesting stories to tell you. He used to work for the Clintons, and he's got some really good things to say, and he's got some good direction. He's also an independent and a Republican at the same time. But he's one of those guys that will tell you truth. If the Republicans are wrong, he will tell you that they're wrong. But one thing that he will do is he will explain it away to you. He will definitely explain it to you. So, Dan Bongino. The Dan Bongino Show, you can find him on Twitter as well. Along with Dave Bowman, you can find him on Twitter and Facebook. Along with Michael Savage and Rush Limbaugh, you could find all of them on Facebook, and you could also find them all on Twitter. Hit them up. Always hit them up and talk to them. They all will respond to you, and they will all have very intelligent conversations with you. If you have any good questions, they will definitely answer for you. But the one person that I always wish that, and I hope that he gets into the school systems, is Dave Bowman and the Constitution Thursdays. I hope someday that the school systems let them play Constitution Thursday in their classrooms, because you know what, they would benefit from it. I really hope they do. I'm going to push it. I hope they do, and I hope Dave Bowman lets them. It's worthwhile listening to. So with that, this is Grandpa Ken, my enlightening days, and what did it for me. And I hope between these people that I've listed and told you about, I hope you give them a listen, and I hope you get their stories, and I hope that they enlighten your life like they've enlightened mine. This is Grandpa Ken, and I'm out. Bye, Daddy. Papa. Bye.